Asteria says, rumors have been circulating in the corridors of power that the queen has embarked on a new journey, and that it will be a very long one. I will tell you more during the Apella, but it is best to get moving and start now, she says after a quick glance at the empty balcony of the villa.
Mineya nods. Mineya hopes she is well.
Asteria says, once again it will be up to me to take this burden, but you, my brethren and sisters, will lend an helping hand. Now let's move, it is time.
Achilles says, Asteria, youth is easily deceived because is quick to hope.
Apella says, Adine Odgar is at the gate. Asteria says. Once again she quickly moves in front of her throne, observing those present with a quick glance. Pirate says, I'm very hungry. Please feed me. I need to eat. Asteria says, my fellow Spartans, my heart swells to see you gathered here in unity. Come, sit among your brothers and sisters, she says warmly, yet with unmistakable dignity befitting her station. Asteria prepares to deliver her speech while observing the Spartiates as they settle on their seats.
Socrates says, Lambes have some oats.
Priestess says, that will be nice. Pirate says, that will taste good.
Mineya smiles and sits.
Priestess says, thank you for the oats, Socrates. Pirate says, thank you for the oats, Socrates. Priestess says, thanks, Pirate, but I'm not hungry anymore. Pirate says, that will taste good. Thank you for the oats, Priestess. Asteria says, citizens of Sparta, valiant warriors and wise elders. Today I speak to you as Asteria, your ambassador, but above all as a daughter of this land who has always known how to distinguish what is fleeting from what is eternal, the true from the false splendor. In my travels through the lands of Hellas and beyond its borders, I have observed with my own eyes how fragile and vain earthly glory is. See how many kingdoms have risen to great power, have subdued cities and territories, raised towers that defied the heavens, and ruled over countless peoples. Where are those mighty kings and fearless warriors now? Where are their palaces, their walls, and their wealth? Only a pile of dusty ruins remains. Their names, once feared and revered, now condemned to the oblivion of time. Human power is like the morning dew. It shines for a moment under the rays of the rising sun, then vanishes without a trace. Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?" Asteria says, "But what remains when everything collapses?" She says with a questioning look at those present. What remains is what no enemy can conquer, what no defeat can take away, what no death can erase. The virtue we have fostered in our souls. Let Leonidas be an example to you. Not gold or silver made his name immortal, nor the vastness of his dominion. It was his virtue, his sacrifice, his loyalty to the principles he had sworn to defend. Here is the lesson we must learn. While ordinary men run after the illusions of power, the wise man builds his kingdom within himself. This is precisely what I urge you to do. Pursue virtue and live wisely, according to the customs of our ancestors. Build the one fortress that can never be conquered, that of a steadfast soul immune to all the storms of life.
Mineya listens attentively to the ambassador's words.
Asteria turns her gaze to the Ephor and hints at a smile before reciting her final words. With these words I declare this meeting of Apella open. May the gods bless Sparta and guide our steps on the path of immortal virtue. Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro.
Mineya says, Haro.
Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro. Priestess says, are you worshipping?
Mineya says, Haro. Haro.
Socrates says, Haru. Haru.
Asteria walks back sitting on her throne, ready to open the proceedings. The queen's absence has cast a shadow over my soul. Helios has risen and set many times since I last saw her. As I prepare to lead this Apella once more, I ask one of you to lift our spirits with sweet and intense melodies. Priestess says, are you discussing something?
Mineya raises her hand. Mineya says that if no one offers, she is happy to do it.
Asteria raises one hand and nods her head. You are allowed, Ephor, please delight us.
Mineya nods. Mineya approaches the center of the room where the lyre rests on the table. She pushes the stool aside, sits down, settles herself and takes a deep breath. Mineya places her fingers on the strings and begins to move them gently, making them vibrate, playing a beautiful melody. Mineya mentions that last time she composed a song making the notes dance with the lyrics. She enjoyed delighting everyone, although she would have loved the presence of our queen who was absent. Mineya brings you today a fragment of a beautiful poem.
Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?"
Mineya says, written by the great Greek poet Ibiko, who composed precisely to be sung and accompanied by strings. Mineya will recite if you like.
Asteria looks at Ephor with a pleased expression. "It would be a great relief for me to hear what you have composed, Ephor Mineya, but it is likely that you composed it for the queen's ears first and foremost, so I will leave it up to you to decide what to do."
Mineya says, "This time is not mine." Mineya will first sing in our mother language and then repeats it in the language that foreigners can understand. Mineya takes a deep breath and caressing the strings, she begins to recite, with her soft and warm voice, intoning at the same time with the melody. Eros aute mikwaneo isinupo.
Asteria reflects on Ephor's words and adds, "Then let your notes and your words resonate within these austere walls," and pays attention to what she's about to recite.
Mineya smiles meanwhile sings. Her voice trembles. Mineya smiles and says that she hopes she has translated well and as closely as possible. Mineya starts to recite.
Asteria brushes a strand of hair away from her face as she listens, deeply moved, to the sweet melody and the inspiring words that accompany it.
Loaf again gazes at me, languidly under dark eyelids, and with various spells casts me into Aphrodite's inexorable net. When she approaches, I tremble, like an old horse that in the races won as a young man and now goes unwillingly to run a fast chariot. Mineya smiles. Mineya adds that when our queen is present, she will be delighted to delight your ears with these melodies. Mineya ends her song with a friendly smile, curiously waiting for the listener's reaction.
Asteria says, I am at a loss of words, Ephor Mineya. This was truly enchanting and beautiful. And I am sure I can speak for the queen as well. Priestess says, are you discussing something?
Mineya blushes at the praise she has received and at the same time is happy to be able to delight everyone.
Asteria bursts into spontaneous applause. Apella see.
Mineya pauses for a few seconds waiting for a reaction and wonders if she should play another piece. Mineya nods her head in gratitude for the applause and compliments received.
Asteria says. Meeting her gaze and casting an intense look on her, she says, "You won't leave that instrument before gracing us with one more song. Now you own it to all of us." Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?"
Mineya is delighted to play again.
Asteria smiles amusedly at the sweet command she gives to the young woman. Oh asterisk.
Mineya says, "Playing this harp is like caressing the soul, she could play it all day."
Asteria says, Apella see. You are doing a lot to chase away that shadow, Mineya. You have my sincere gratitude.
Mineya smiles. Mineya nods, smiles and stops playing. Or you would like other piece?
Asteria says, Apella see. Absolutely beautiful.
Mineya Blasches.
Asteria says, "It would be best if I send you back to your seat now, before I become jealous of your remarkable musical talents, Ephor."
Mineya gets up and returns to her seat.
Asteria smiles.
Mineya says, Eurede. Asterisco asterisco selutz asterisco asterisco.
Asteria says, "You are dismissed with my gratitude." Herida salutes. Asteria lets out a sigh as she looks at the hilt of her sword. The gods do not bestow the same talents on everyone. What I have in swordplay I completely lack in harp playing. Your hands, on the contrary, are blessed, O Ephor, she says, thinking about the next step.
Mineya is delighted to be able to share her talent with those present. She smiles in gratitude.
Asteria says. After a brief moment she adds, "We will need a knowing hand to trace every word that will be spoken tonight. Who feels up to it?"
Mineya looks around and sees no hands raised. She offers herself again.
Asteria says, "Very well, thank you, Mineya."
Mineya starts to take notes.
Asteria says, "It is time to officially open this assembly, hence I summon Hieros Socrates and Lammy to cast God's benevolence on us."
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. To Hygeia. Queen of all, charming and lovely and blooming, blessed Hygeia, mother of all, bringer of prosperity, hear me. Through you vanish the diseases that afflict men, and through you every house blossoms to fullness of joy, and the arts thrive. The world desires you, O Queen, and only soul-destroying Hades ever loathes you.
Priestess says, "An assembly took place. People were making references to relaxation." Pirate says, "An assembly took place. People were making references to relaxation." Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?" Asteria listens with interest and respectful silence to the sacred words that echo within the stone walls.
Socrates says, ever youthful, ever beloved, you are a haven for mortals. Apart from you all is without avail for men, wealth, sweet to those feast, and giver of abundance, fails, and man never reaches the many pains of old age, for you are sole mistress and queen of all. But goddess, come, ever helpful to the initiates, and keep away the accursed distress of harsh disease.
Mineya listens devoutly to the prayers of Hieros Socrates.
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods.
Priestess says, "Are you worshipping?"
Socrates says, "I now call on Priestess Lamy to say opening Apella prayers."
Priestess shouts, "Hestia, you who tend the holy house of the Lord Apollo, the far shooter at goodly Pytho, with soft oil dripping ever from your locks, come now into this house, come, having one mind with Zeus the all-wise, draw near, and withal bestow grace upon my song. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. Hail Almighty Zeus the Thunderer! Hail all the gods of Olympus! We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May the gods bless all in attendance of these prayers."
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. Socrates salutes.
Χαίρετε.
Asteria says, "Herida," salutes. Thank you for your prayers, Hieros and Lamy. They were most appreciated. Asteria looks away for a moment, gathering her thoughts. yes, now is my time, she murmurs, suddenly rising from her seat. Asteria walks confidently toward the center, her weapons echoing in the general silence. Asteria tilts her head slightly, as if weighing the words she is about to say, then begins to speak in a calm voice. My fellow Spartiates, I know you await news from me from the cities and empires of the wide world, but tonight I must make an announcement of the utmost urgency. Asteria continues in a ringing voice. Helios shines majestically in the valleys and mountains of Sparta, but the queen is not here to admire him, and she will not be with us until the end of the good season. She must make her voice resound in places where our banners have not yet arrived, but our interests require protection. Perhaps she is already on her way to where she is expected. Asteria pauses briefly and then resumes resolutely. By the power bestowed on me by the queen and according to the laws of Sparta, I, Asteria, daughter of this sacred land, assume responsibility for maintaining order in the city. But I cannot do it alone. I need your help, Spartiates. Each one of you knows his role, each one knows what is expected of him. You will not have to learn anything new. You will simply have to be what you have always been. Spartans. During this period, all city activities will cease with the exception of two. Army training will continue as usual, because a Spartan warrior knows no rest when it comes to mastering his art, and bards' gatherings will continue regularly, because our traditions and our collective memory must remain alive. Our goal is simple but sacred. When the queen returns, we will hand over to her a wisely administered city, a polis in the same if not better condition than when she left it. I will not tolerate disorder. I will not accept negligence. Sparta was forged in the iron and blood of our fathers, and it will not be my guard to tarnish its honor, she says in a firm and unyielding tone. After casting an intense glance at those present, she concludes her speech. We shall go forward as we have always done, with discipline, with honor, with the certainty that our every gesture serves the greatness of Sparta. May the gods assist us in this task, and may the memory of our ancestors guide us. Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro.
Mineya says, Aro. Aro.
Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro. That is all I had to tell you for this night, my fellow Spartiates. May you be impeccable keepers of our city in this time of waiting. Asteria walks back to her throne after uttering her last words. Asteria ponders what her next step will be. I should now summon Counselor Aelangel to inform us of the training going on in the city, but it is likely that the Queen has brought her along to watch her back. With her blade and the generals, she will undoubtedly travel more safely. It is therefore time to summon an envoy of the council to inform us of the activities that took place in the week just gone by.
Mineya stands up and steps forward to present her reports.
Χαίρετε.
Eurede.
Χαίρετε.
Asterisco asterisco selux asterisco asterisco.
Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?" Asteria says, "Herida," salutes.
Mineya, holding her scroll with both hands, unrolls it and begins to read about the events that took place the last 2 weeks. Mineya starts reading.
Asteria smiles with an interested gaze.
Mineya says, last Thursday 17th took place the belly dance hosted by Eve herself, who reported the following. Scroll released by Ephor Mineya on subject sparkling belly dance. During more than 2 hours, Spartan and visitors enjoyed the sparkling beats that Ephor Mineya brought to cool the heat by shaking the silks. Thanks to Ambassador Asteria for co-hosting. On behalf of Queen Ephor Mineya.
Asteria says, "Apella si."
Mineya smiles.
Asteria smiles back.
Mineya pauses for a second and continues reading.
Asteria says, "A beautiful feast as usual."
Mineya says, "We had good time." That past Sunday 20th the Bards gathering took place. She will read what our counselor Aelangel reported about it.
Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?"
Mineya says, scroll released by counselor Aelangel on subject Bards gathering. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, 8 guests gathered in the main square of the Spartan Empire to share an evening dedicated to poetry. Beneath the shade of the trees and the soft murmur of birds, the attendees sat in a circle on blankets and marble benches, creating an intimate and welcoming atmosphere. The cool breeze rustled the leaves as words flowed, sometimes with melancholy, other times with joy, but always with sincerity. Each poem read by the 5 readers present sparked knowing glances and serene smiles, in a silent connection that only poetry can create. There was no rush or grand speeches, only the desire to enjoy the art of words in community. Some shared their own writings, others simply listened, letting the verses touch their hearts. It was a simple yet meaningful afternoon, where poetry, more than just a cultural act, became a warm bridge between friends. A heartfelt thank you to the hosts, Saber and Jolie, for always being present at this gathering.
Asteria says, Apella si.
Mineya mentions that this same day, the training took place under the guidance of our counselor. Mineya will read the report on her behalf. Under the relentless midday sun, 2 warrior companions faced each other in an intense battle training session. Sweat streamed down their foreheads as their weapons clashed with force, making the air tremble with every strike. Neither yielded ground, driven by mutual respect and a desire to surpass themselves. The training field, covered in dry earth and surrounded by hills, echoed with their shouts and the clang of metal witness to a struggle born not of enmity, but of sisterhood forged in combat.
Asteria says, I remember well, and you can still see the bruises on my arms.
Mineya smiles at her. Mineya goes on reading her report.
Asteria nods, quickly brushing her hair away from her face with a quick movement of her head.
Mineya says, despite their exhaustion, laughter escaped between ragged breaths, a reminder that beyond physical effort, they were bound by deep loyalty. Every fall was followed by an outstretched hand, every mistake turned into guidance. Beneath the blazing sun, they were not only tempering their weapons, but also their bombestronas, the steel they wielded. That day was more than just training, it was a dance of strength, willpower, and companionship that fortified the soul as much as the body. Especial thanks to Ambassador Asteria for her participation and support during the training.
Asteria says, Apella si.
Mineya stops for a while, takes air and taking a new scroll goes on with the events of this last week. Mineya reads that last Wednesday 23rd took place the Greek belly dance hosted by Hieros Socrates, who filled the air and delighted us with his hits, new tracks, urban and traditional tsiftitalia, and others from around the Mediterranean. These times she was able to attend and enjoyed the dancing and the pleasant company of those present for just over an hour.
Asteria says, Apella si.
Mineya smiles and goes on reporting about the bards gathering that took place this Sunday 27th. Which was attended, as usual, by numerous assistants. 6 guests enjoyed and 3 readers who delighted everyone with their talent in the art of poetry. As always hosted by mmrpg Carter.
Asteria smiles. Apella si.
Mineya says, and then the training carried out by our counselor. The training took place under the guidance of Counselor Angel, who shared her skills in the use of the sword, showing tactics of attack and defense. This was all that happened these last 2 weeks.
Asteria says, it seems that the power of poetry never fails to gather a number of enthusiasts. That's good.
Mineya nods.
Asteria says, the queen will be surely delighted.
Mineya says, and finally, as she always does, she is going to read a reminder about the events taking place during this week.
Priestess says, are you discussing something?
Mineya says, on Thursday, as Ephor Mineya's last party until she returns from her summer vacation, she'll refresh you once again with songs fit for a sunny day at the beach, dance to the rhythm of belly dancing. So come with a good vibe and a desire to have a good time. Mineya smiles and goes on. On Sunday, once again the muses will bring inspiration in the usually well-attended bard gathering, which as always is hosted by Saberman Carter. Later Counselor Aolangel will shed her skills with the sword to train in the arts of combat the brave Spartans, showing tactics of attack and defense. Mineya has nothing more to add, and closing her scroll she adds that she wishes everyone a happy, if not too hot, summer, and if it does, then that good shade will cool you all down. Mineya smiles.
Asteria says, "Your feast will be a good opportunity for all of us not only to celebrate the good season, but to share some time together before the break will take place." Priestess says, "Are you partying?" Asteria says, "We will be there, and now I thank you for your comprehensive reports." Apella see.
Mineya hopes the presence of all of you.
Χαίρετε.
Eurede. Asterisco asterisco salutes asterisco asterisco.
Asteria says,
Χαίρετε.
"You are dismissed now, please seat."
Mineya retires to her seat.
Asteria says, "Sit asterisk." Herida salutes. We are nearing the end of this Apella, after which silence will reign within these walls until the first leaves begin to fall from the trees. If you wish to address the Apella and share some thoughts, then your time is now.
Mineya has no questions to ask and no comments to make.
Asteria says, maybe there will be someone in the next Apella who has concerns to share, and we will gladly listen to them. And now, I ask Hieros Socrates to bestow us with Apella closing prayers.
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. To Apollon. Come, O blessed Paian, O slayer of Tychios, O Phoebos, O Lycorius. A giver of riches are you and an illustrious dweller in Memphis, O god to whom one cries aye. To you, O Titan and Pythian god belong the lyre and seeds and plows. Grinion, Sminthian, slayer of Pytho, Delphic diviner, you are a wild, light-bringing and lovable god, O glorious youth. You shoot your arrows from afar, you lead the muses into dance, and, O Holy One, you are Barcos, Didymius, and Loxias too. Lord of Delos, I that sees all and brings light to mortals, golden is your hair and clear your oracular utterances. Hear me with kindly heart as I pray for people. You gaze upon all the ethereal vastness, and upon the rich earth you look through the twilight.
Priestess says, are you worshipping?
Socrates says, in the quiet darkness of night lit with stars you see earth's roots below, and you hold the bounds of the whole world. Yours too are the beginning and the end to come. You make everything bloom, and with your versatile lyre you harmonize the poles, now reaching the highest pitch, now the lowest and now again with the Doric mode, balancing the poles harmoniously, as you keep the living races distinct.
Priestess says, are you discussing something?
Socrates says, you have infused harmony into all men's lot, giving them equal measure of summer and winter. The lowest notes you strike in the winter, the highest in summer, and your mode is Doric for spring's lovely and blooming season. Wherefore mortals call you Lord, and Pan, the two-horned god, who sends the whistling winds. For this too, you have the master seal of the entire cosmos. Oh, blessed one, hear the supplicant voice of the initiates and save them. Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods.
Priestess says, are you worshipping?
Socrates says, I now call on Priestess Lamy to say closing Apella prayers.
Priestess shouts, I will sing of Zeus, chiefest among the gods and greatest, all-seeing the Lord of all, the fulfiller who whispers words of wisdom to Themis as she sits leaning towards him. Be gracious, all-seeing son of Kronos, most excellent and great. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May Zeus and the gods bless this city, its king, its princess regent, its royals, and all of its citizens. we offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May the gods bless all who attended these prayers.
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. Socrates salutes.
Χαίρετε.
Asteria says, Herida, salutes. Thank you, Hieros and Lammy. I think it is fitting to close this meeting with wise words from a great philosopher, Plato. In a firm and solemn voice she utters them a moment later. Wisdom begins in wonder. Asteria lets these words take effect and then adds, "These are words of great wisdom, and I hope they can inspire your actions. With them I declare tonight's meeting over. All rise and return to your homes, and may the gods guide and protect your steps." And may my gratitude walk beside you all for joining me tonight during this Apella. Herida salutes.
Χαίρετε.
Mineya says, Eurede. Asterisco asterisco salutes asterisco asterisco.
Socrates salutes.
Asteria says, "Have a pleasant night all with the gods' favor." Apella says, "Adine Odgar is at the gate."
Mineya says, safe paths.
Priestess says, "Goodbye, Comdi." Pirate says, "Goodbye, Comdi." Asteria says, "It was a good last meeting."
Mineya says, yes.
Asteria says, "Too bad the queen couldn't intervene."
Mineya says, yes, pity.
Asteria says, "Let's hope she can come to dance with us at least."
Mineya says, we will see.
Asteria says, be safe, Spartans. Herida salutes. Priestess says, are you discussing something? Asteria says, Kalinicta.
Mineya says, this time is not only belly music, it will be a little chaotic salad, but good to wake up.
Socrates says, good night.
Pirate says, good night, Socrates. Priestess says, good night, Socrates. Asteria nods.
Mineya says, good night and sweet dreams.
Asteria says, we will enjoy it for sure.
Mineya says, Eurede. Asterisco asterisco salutes asterisco asterisco. Socrates and Lambis.
Socrates salutes.
Mineya says, have good night.
Socrates says, good night.